All right. Hello and welcome. How is everyone doing on what I hope is a wonderful Monday? Uh, According to last week, it would be December the 7th, but is in fact October, October the 7th, because yes, I did in fact say November 30th last week. Where did the other 2 months go? I don't know, but I'm glad you all made it to our usual hour of scampering. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm pretty good. I think those 2 months, disappeared with Babylon 4.
Yeah, timey-wimey shenanigans happening all over the place.
Right? Yeah.
And
It's good to see you. It's
it's
good to
good to
see
see you
everyone in
too.
chat.
Yeah, and everyone, I think we're in for a fun thing tonight. Well, one, because it's Babylon 5, and that is always fun. But two, YouTube is doing something weird today, it seems, where
Oh?
whenever I set up the stream today, usually I get an announcement for it in my Discord feed. Today, nothing. And then Thomas was saying he couldn't see it in his feed, so I, I don't
Hmm.
know if this is going out.
I
If
I did see it in the feed.
okay, okay, and also
I got I got notices from YouTube.
I have been doing audio stuff this week, so we should all be filled with dread tonight.
Indeed.
So
Hold on to your hats, everyone.
I've been working on this thing for my church where I use one of these Wise 3040 thin client machines, and
Okay.
by doing some fun trickery, I can use the V-band protocol, which is what Voicemeeter uses, to take the audio feed I capture from here and send it over the network. So I've been testing how well does that work? Do I get a good signal? Does it actually come through? And it's been a lot of tricky things because you can't just run like Windows on this. It's a weird Linux thing, but it's old, and so I can't use regular Linux. I have to use a very specific Dell generated Linux. It's been weird, but yeah, all the tests, and like I looked at my audio stuff today. I'm like, oh, all these settings have been changed.
Uh,
So we're gonna see, I mean,
well,
the fact,
just to clue everyone in, I could not hear Matthew rather when we first came into StreamYard. So,
yep, yeah. And so I mean, the fact that y'all like no one's been like, hey Matthew, you're talking, and we're not seeing, like, we don't hear anything, or we hear Jeff but not you, or like Jeff is high pitched and robot-y for some reason. Like this is a victory already. So yay.
just a slight hiccup before we went live, but otherwise okay.
Yeah, so Omni, the little thing, it runs what's called Thin Linux, which is a version of Ubuntu, but it's a Dell flavored one. And so the hiccup with this is that it requires special Dell drivers to make the SoC in here work. It's really weird. It's well documented. Everyone hates it, but it hey, it did it in the end, and that's all that matters for me. Yeah, Omni, we enjoy the silence. We can't hear you. Thank you, thank you. I I appreciate that right here.
He can't hear you.
Exactly. Uh, and Thomas is saying, I heard StreamYard price went up. I don't know. I do use StreamYard for Jeff and I, but I don't pay for it. I use the free version. It just does a lower resolution video. You can have less people on it, but it's all I need.
And the price did go up, and I complained to them today because last December I got a special deal. And it was supposed to be that price forever as long as I didn't unsubscribe. So
Oh,
I asked them, have you changed my price? I've not heard back from them.
like you got it in writing and everything?
Yeah.
Ooh,
So we'll see. We'll
yeah.
see. I may be changing to something else.
Hmm.
I hear that OBS has a plug-in that you can get that does
Interesting.
StreamYard type stuff. So I'm going to look into that.
I could see it. Like, so I know that uh, I know that you can do something called NDI, which is a network. something protocol, but like there's a plugin you can use for OBS, and so it will take someone's camera and you can point it at a URL, and you can transmit it. But then people have to have your URL. I know. Tell me about that one. That sounds interesting.
I'll look into it.
Well, we are going to get started a little bit quicker than usual today. I'm actually for the first time in like 6 years, I want to say, I am going to physically go into an office first thing in the morning, which is fun.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I do
Wow.
remote programming work, and whenever I have to go places, it's like out of state or other side of the to the desert where there's sand in Texas, and that's different from going into the office. So it's interesting. Like I'm kind of looking forward to it. It's kind of nice to be in an office environment sometimes. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if they're actually ready for me because I'm trying to get things moving with this client. They want to move fast. And so I'm like, hey, I'm going to go into the office and we can just sit down and we can chat, which is great in my mind. But in their mind, they might be like, we don't want to talk. We got other stuff to do. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Well, I wish you luck.
Thank you.
And I just want to send out prayers and thoughts to all those in Florida that are going to be affected by this hurricane that's coming. I know John is squarely in its sights. So
Yeah, that's not Kirk. That's the one after Kirk, right?
it's what, the M storm?
It was
It's Milton.
Milton. Okay, what happened to the one after Kirk? So there's Hurricane Kirk, or did it turn into a hurricane, or did it stall out as a depression?
Leslie is out there in the middle of the Atlantic.
Okay,
It's going to recurve.
that was heading toward the UK.
It's going to
wasn't
miss
it?
every. No, that was Kirk.
Okay. See, my
But yeah,
my bad name
Leslie,
ability isn't limited to people, even storms.
Leslie's out in the middle of nowhere, and it's going to recurve and hit no one.
Actually, okay, talking about me being bad with hurricane names. I was really surprised when I saw that they were naming it Kirk because I thought hurricanes were still named after only women. And it turns out that hasn't been the case since 1979.
Yep.
Before 1979, yeah, everything was, all the storms were female names. But then at 1979, I don't know if they're like, we're running out of female names or if they decided it was sexist, which is a storm.
I think they thought it was sexist. So they alternate. Every other name is female, and the ones in between are male.
That's silly to me. That we were concerned about that, but whatever. The funny thing to me is that I am like 45 years out of right. I'm 45 years wrong on my information. That's how far behind I am on everything.
No comment.
Yeah, and I mean, these Babylon 5 streams, they should have started like 3 years ago. I am just so far behind on everything.
This is true.
But yeah, and I wasn't even alive. Exactly, Amy. That's like, okay, so I think I mentioned this in the past. Yeah, here's me getting started quickly on the stream and also being immediately distracted by everyone. So I'm enjoying doing crosswords, which I could not say a sentence that makes me feel older if I tried, I think. But I've really been enjoying crosswords, and for the life of me, it will say a name, and I'm like, I cannot get this name. I don't know who this actor is. I don't know who this rapper is. Like, they're obsessed with rappers in these crossword puzzles. But if it wants to know the name of a character on a TV show from the 60s, I am your man. Like, I'm like, oh yeah. Played in a Matlock, Andy Griffith. Yeah, there you go. But
Matlock was in the 60s?
No. Andy Griffith was.
Oh, okay.
But I was saying like that's an example of Clue that like I'd instantly be there. But for some reason, new stuff I don't know. Unless it's one of the Chris's, Chris Pratt, Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth. I can get them for some reason.
Chris Pine.
I left him out, I guess.
Okay.
Was he? He was Kirk, right? In the new Trek movies.
Yeah. Yes.
The Kelvinverse ones.
The fake Kirk.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a reason I don't keep up with him. Okay, so Omni actually threw me for a loop today or yesterday. He posted a picture of someone, and I'm like, "Who is this? I don't get it." And I guess he thought I was joking or something. Like, okay, I get it. You don't recognize Strange New Worlds, Kirk. I'm like, no, I'm not trying to be sassy or cute or funny or anything like that. I don't know who this guy is. Like, I do not keep up with New Trek at all.
I don't blame you. You're probably smart for not doing it.
Let's say I used to, and then I'm like, I'm just getting mad about this stuff.
Uh-huh.
Like,
I get mad too.
Like, I tried Strange New Worlds. I watched until like the third episode, I want to say. I gave it a fair shot. But when they made Spock's dad a cheater, like he cheated on his wife, I'm like, nope, we're done. I'm done. I'm not dealing with a character assassination of beloved characters anymore.
Oh, yeah, they're making a mockery of Spock.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and Omni's saying he's a Saturn Award-winning actor now. That's true. The new Kirk. Yeah. The one who was born in space. I do remember that line from one of the previews, a trailer. It was one where he was in the past or something, and he made a comment about, well, I was born in space. I don't know how these automatic doors
I think that
work.
was an alternative timeline.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll let that one go then.
Well, ask me, it's all alternative timeline.
Yeah, Omni. Strange New Worlds, groundbreaking, award-winning Trek. So was what was the Voyager episode with the lizards? Threshold. Award-winning Threshold.
The Emmy award-winning Threshold.
Oh yeah. All right, guys, let's get started here. Yes, Threshold. So, as always, I will go ahead and bring this up. Oh, you know what I haven't done yet? I haven't dropped a link to the stream room yet. So here we go. There's a link. Come join us in the stream room, everyone. What this does is it allows all of us to watch up our stream times together. That way, whatever I'm seeing, you're seeing within, a second or two, and provided it doesn't have a weird little hiccup that boots me out and everyone's like watching the same 5 seconds over and over again for some reason. It happens. We'll fix it quick if it does. So join us in there. If you can't, then we'll include some clips down below just so you can have a still image with no sound. Please let me know if there's sound, because with all the audio stuff I've done, there might be this week, and I want to stop that quickly so that I play nice by the rules. This is all just commentary as we view this together. If you're in the future, I'm sorry you can't come to the screening room. This is only active while the stream is going on. For you need to have your own copy. You can buy it on Amazon, one episode at a time if you like, all the digital stuff in one go, and you can stream it there with no ads. You can watch it for free with ads on Tubi TV, or, and this is always my recommendation, you can buy it on Blu-ray or DVD, but Blu-ray is actually a bit of a better price these days. And I saw it on Amazon today for $76, all 5 seasons.
That's right. That's right. And the pilot episode.
I will make a caveat here. You might want to wait one more day. Like if $76 sounds like a really good deal, you might want to wait one more day because they are doing Amazon Prime Days on the 8th and 9th. So it might come down a little bit more. I don't know.
But you have to be a Prime member to get the price.
You have to be a Prime member. That's true. Now, if you're not a Prime member, I want to say that come Black Friday / Cyber Monday, they usually have some pretty good deals out there. So might want to wait for that. But still, 76 bucks is a pretty decent price. I want to
That's a
say
real good price.
73 is the lowest we've seen it at since we started. So, hey,
Yeah,
might be worth it.
few
Uh,
bucks difference.
yeah. But this week we're going to be watching Soulmates. This is the seventh episode. I want to say, yep, seventh episode
I
of
believe
season
so.
2. Jeff, last week I made a prediction about this one,
You
and it was a
did.
rambling one.
Well, it was sort of a rambling one, but what you settled on was a person comes on board and is a perfect soulmate with someone. You think it might be Garibaldi. However, you did give a caveat. He said if it's a comedy episode, it's a one big con where everybody thinks they're their soulmate, and she, I'm not sure who she is playing them all.
She just being the guest star of the week.
Okay.
So we'll see. I'll go ahead and give us a quick 3 countdown, and then we can hit the play button. And that way, if you're here in the future and you want to sync up your watch time, you have a point of reference to work off of. So here we go, everyone. 3, 2, 1. Hit that play button. And please let me know if any audio is coming through. I want to say I got it muted, but I just want to play it safe, you know? And I'm just going to do some general noise talking over it. That way, if it is coming
I can
through,
hear an echo.
you can hear an echo?
I can
Let's
hear an
see.
echo.
You shouldn't. So this is coming in over that one. And it's not. Huh.
I think it's okay now.
And it's not. Huh.
I think
Okay. No sound coming from the show. Thank you, everyone. I think we're good. I listened to the stream for a second there. I think we sound good. Oh, is this one of Londo's wives?
yes.
I want to know what his answer is going to be. She said, I said, take me to my husband. Is your hearing deficient? And he goes, no, but I do have a, and we don't get a no. I mean, Veer, maybe he has a, maybe a bit of ringing in his ear. Oh, interesting. So this guy who's walking away, he was initially very upset at this smirking man with the backpack. And then he's like, you know what? What was I saying? And the guy goes, nothing, nothing. He goes, yeah, right, and walks off. So I wonder if we got a bit of a psychic.
Psychic. I believe you were referring to telepath.
Well, yes. I might as well just call them Beta Zeds. I think we can have a Beta Zed on board. Because I'm not going to get the name right, so I might as well just get it wrong.
Well, you have a point there.
Yeah, Thomas, you feel like I don't trust y'all to tell me? No, I trust y'all. I just also want to double check. I actually got a comment today on one of my past Sequest streams, and they were like, why are you calling Lucas by the wrong name? That's not his name. And like, somebody's new here.
Yeah.
Okay, so Talia.
Very good.
Talia, there we go.
Now we haven't seen her hardly at all this season, but this is the second episode in a row she's in.
And apparently she knows this guy, I think she said Matthew Stoner.
Yes.
Who
had to be a Matthew.
Yeah, the Matthews. You gotta look out for them. But she said she knows him in the worst possible way.
They were married.
Oh, that is the worst possible way for her. Being married to a Matthew. Amy, can you think of a worse fate?
Wow.
Yeah, Texas. Apparently, Talia had a life with Matthew in her life. Welcome, Spade. How you doing? Now, so I said guest star of the week, but Babylon 5 has the most guest stars of any show I have seen.
They do have quite a few, don't they? And some really good ones.
Okay, hopefully that muted for everyone. I'm gonna keep doing this. Hold on, I've got it. I
Plus,
really hope that's muting for everyone.
it did.
I'm. If only I heard the setup for that joke Londo just made. He said, but then he said, "That's not my leg. That's my air hole." And apparently, it's the funniest
Air,
joke anyone had ever heard.
I believe it's air hose.
Air hose. she claims she won't bite so Veer can calm down. He's like, "Well, with all due respect, madam, that's not what I've heard." Okay, is the one with the accents Jane Carr?
The first one we met, yeah, that's Jane Carr.
Okay,
Timoff.
Jane Carr. Something about that name just strikes me as I have a snobby accent.
She did play Mary Reed on Enterprise, Malcolm's mother.
Oh no, it's not Mrs. Pot. That's Ansbury. Something Ansbury I want to say. The lady who played Murder She Wrote, and she played uh the nurse
Lansbury.
in, yeah, Lansbury. She played the nurse in Pirates of the Penzance.
Yes, John. Peter David did write this episode.
Yes, Angela
Writer of many,
Lansbury. There we go.
writer of many Star Trek novels, Peter David. I find it interesting. She was strumming the guitar, which is an exhibit in the museum.
Hmm. Well, it's been a while since we've seen Dolores too.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, she's been having a bad hair day.
Yeah, say the least.
So she's talking about how what she's going through is supposed to be this dignified thing to, you know, unite both humans and Bari. So what's with this hair? And apparently she has never washed it. And apparently the Mbari, you know, since they don't really have hair, they use a chemical compound that strips away the outer epidermis of the body. Yep, I did say epidermis. I meant epidermis. That's a problem. If I'm talking while I'm listening, I end up saying whatever I'm listening to half the time. She fell in love with another teacher?
Yeah, she did.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I guess she has a type. That or the writer did? Like, that's weird. I I can understand a single plot line where they had her fall in love with one of her instructors as she graduated. And Texas is saying not exactly falling in love. But, okay, they are
Yeah.
talking.
Psychor matched him up.
Yeah, so she's saying that her ex-husband now, Stoner, left the Psi Corps right shortly after they got married, which, as far as we're aware, no one leaves the Psi Corps. Once you are identified as a psychic, you have to be in the Psi Corps or uh, be on chemicals the rest of your life to suppress your psychic abilities, telepathic, betazoid abilities. But apparently, this Matthew guy had too many connections and was able to leave and at the same time keep his betazoid abilities. I see Jakar suffers from the same headaches Thomas does.
Hmm.
Whenever the strange and bizarre things occur, the headaches start right here. Yeah, I agree with Mondo. He's saying, how's your day going on this beautiful day on the station? And Jakar's, we're on a space station. One day's, pretty much the same as the next. And Mondo says, that depends on your point of view.
Keep it up.
He says, Jakar, you're looking great. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. And the headaches, they come back. But I agree. Just because you're in the same environment, even if it's a space station day after day, that doesn't mean each day isn't have its own difficulties and uniquenesses. And thank you, Thomas. I think I'm settling into Babylon 5 quite nicely as well. I like how Veer's trying to act as a physical barrier between the two. Now, where's the third one? So, do we know the marriage order of these three women yet?
um, I think you can kind of guess it by the ages of them.
But his last wife, Marianne, where is she?
It's actually Mariel.
Oh, Mariole. I thought Marianne had finally gone off the island. So he's saying that tomorrow is the 30th anniversary of his Ascension Day, which I'm not sure what that is yet.
I think they ever clearly explain that.
I mean, maybe Ascension was when he got like promoted to this position or promoted to ambassador.
I don't think he's been ambassador for 30 years.
I'm saying this could be a sitcom. Sure, my three wives.
Don says session day sounds like something involving pain sticks.
Oh. And he apparently on this Ascension anniversary, he gets asked the Emperor for anything within his powers reasonable, and he says that what he's going to ask for is a divorce from his wives. And he said, I'm gonna pick one of the three of you to remain as my wife, but the other two, you're gone."
Now, the emperor wouldn't allow him to divorce all three.
Hey, William, welcome to the stream. I honestly can't tell which one is older between the two that we've met so far.
I think she's the older of the two. Omni says
Ooh.
Timoff is older.
So the two wives are, having a spat, arguing back and forth, and Londo says, "Please, please, continue." Wait, is that the same actress?
No.
Okay. She's just significantly younger.
Now, does he look familiar?
Oh, I recognized Lurch right away, yes.
And Mr. Home, of course.
And Mr. Home. But he speaks.
He does. Although Mr. Home spoke one line.
That kind of looks like the thing Riker gave Picard when he went to Rigel 7.
You
Which
mean
was
Risa?
Risa, yes.
Rigel 7.
Rigel 7. Yes, Risa 7.
The,
the Horgon, yes.
The Horgon, yes.
Which set up one of my favorite lines from Picard, where, the lady is asking him, "Oh, I see you got a Horgon. Did you get that from someone? A friend?" And he's like, "Yeah. Someone you care about? I wouldn't go that far."
Yes, Texas Londo is enjoying this so much.
Mr. Hom is thinking John Haran. That's what it was. Yeah, very different vacations, Rigel and Risa 7. Or Rigel 7 and Risa. So he's a little taken aback by Dolores's curlers. So, yeah, is that painful? Curlers were such an interesting time in our history.
Yes, Joel. Timoff backwards is vomit.
So I'm really curious about this interaction. So Garibaldi has asked Matthew to come in and answer how he got some artifacts, presumably, illegally. And I'm curious, as this interaction goes on, if Garibaldi is going to be able to continue his line of inquiry, or if Matthew is going to use his abilities the same way we saw him use earlier in this episode. Oh, and that's right, because Garibaldi does have a bit of a thing for Talia.
Josh, I'm not even sure which is the A and which is the B plot in this episode. And they're pretty related, as we'll see.
He is a pretty punchable guy. I mean, his name is Matthew, so I mean, strike one. So Matthew was trying to get under his skin throughout this interaction. He can tell that Garibaldi likes Talia, and I'm not sure if it's that he was, reading his surface level thoughts, or if it's just that obvious. But he was definitely working to get under Garibaldi's skin through the dialogue.
Now, Blair Volk, who plays Mariel, was actually in Deep Space Nine. She played a Ryzen.
Oh.
Speaking of Ryza,
Was that the episode with Worf?
yes, let he who is without sin.
That was such a weird episode.
Yeah, it was.
Josh is saying that the fandom wiki has the wife plot as the B plot.
Okay. Since it was introduced first, I almost counted it as the A plot, but I could see them interchangeable.
And Londo was warning him that Marielle is. He says, "On Earth, you have a creature that is drawn to the flames, a moth." He goes, "That's like Marielle, except she is the one that burns." We'll talk later.
Now, the actor that plays Matthew Stoner, and I'm going to butcher his name, Keith Sarabajka. He played two characters in Star Trek. He played Tiro Anadis in Voyager 7th season Repression,
Okay.
and Damros in Enterprise first season Rogue Planet.
He's doing a real good job with his body posture of coming off very creepy. And he's claiming that he lost his telepathic abilities. Wait, no, he's not. Okay, so was he saying that there's a way to get out without having to give up your telepathic abilities?
He was saying that he lost his ability, and that's why he was let go.
Okay, see, I thought that's what he said, but then he said the core has no hold on me, and I can make sure they have no hold on you either.
He's offering her the same procedure.
I don't, I don't believe that he doesn't have abilities.
Seems like he does. Kind of unique ability.
I wonder if the So he's describing this procedure as if it's a one and done thing. So instead of having to be on chemicals your whole life and be monitored by them, you can have this procedure done, and it's like a permanent block. And it seems, if that's the case, it seems as if maybe he's being genuine, but it had a unintentional byproduct. Hey Thomas, on lunch break, please start over. Sorry.
Get out your Blu-ray, Thomas.
Okay, so I am curious. So he's saying, you don't be upset. They're just expressing their feelings for me. And she goes, I can do that too, and then slaps him. Uh, but I am curious who he would pick. I feel like the youngest one is a red herring. That though she has the beauty, he doesn't actually care about her. Like he recognizes that he could just as easily have youth and beauty at any one of the dance places he goes to. So I almost suspect that if he had the choice, he would choose the one that slapped him. Like he strikes me as someone who'd pick the one that is the most politically advantageous for him to have. And to me, the one who slapped him is the one that is the most advantageous, it seems like. Yeah, Texas sees Marielle almost as a threat. So Talia, she came and she apologized for being very rude to Garibaldi yesterday at the elevator. Like, yeah, that was inappropriate. I'm sorry. But then she also expresses a desire that she could be free of her Betazoid abilities. That if Matt really can replicate the chemical concoction he got that sealed off his abilities, then she could be free too, and she wouldn't have to know things about people she doesn't want to know about them.
And
Which
she's
is,
defended the Corps so much. It's surprising she'd want to leave.
yeah. Now, I'll grant her this. While supporting the core, um, she it does seem like anytime she's using her abilities, things aren't going well for her. Like she doesn't like having to know things about people. Like it seems especially she's had to read the minds of several very violent people, and that seems to take a very harsh toll on her. So I could understand supporting the institution but not wanting to be part of it. Oh, the headaches.
Esteemed non-colleague. Yes, indeed.
And Dolores is saying, Mr. Garibaldi, you actually look soul sick. She says, a couple sounds in her own language, but it translates to a sickness of the soul. And she's explaining a Mbari belief system that souls can actually travel in groups, that souls that have very good experiences together might follow each other from one Mbari life to the next Mbari life. What is this? So what did he say Linear got him? Oh, a deck of cards. And I marked them exactly like you requested. Oh no, an assassination attempt by one of the wives.
Marielle
Marianne's.
bought that for
Well,
him.
Marianne, I think she's the one that really bought it.
Yeah, Marielle.
But oh,
Marianne.
yeah, I know I'm not getting Marielle. Uh, I gave up. I'm like, it's Marianne, okay. Uh,
You're always getting the women's names wrong, Matthew.
yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Well, okay, so it helps with Dr. Franklin here. I can at least remember Franklin as a last name.
That's a good thing, I think.
Okay, so she's pointing out that since the divorce decree hasn't been made official yet, then if he dies, then the three of the wives, their futures are set. So Matt is explaining that he didn't know it was dangerous. I handled it 100 times. He he's doing so
Wow.
good at coming off scummy. Like the way he's sitting, he's deliberately making sure he's always like a little lopsided and leaning forward, and so it gives him this weird hunched look and like an untrustworthy and that little head bobble. He's nailing it. He's absolutely nailing the creep look. So he's explaining. So Matt made the speculation that there must have been something about the uh, Centauri metabolism that set off this trap. And Gary Baldy saying where you got it from was a place where it used to be Narn, but the Centauri drove them out. So the Narn probably left it specifically as a booby trap for the Centauri. Thomas, I believe a Matthew wouldn't know about that artifact. Or forget. Think it was a different one. Think it only affected cautious people.
Cautious people.
Yeah, cautious people. Vorlons.
Orlons.
Not be confused with Vogons. Entirely
No.
different.
Yes. Completely. Wrong franchise.
They make some amazing poetry, though.
Indeed.
I can see Kosh doing some poetry. Hey, Roberts, how you doing today? Okay, so uh, earlier on, Dr. Franklin had mentioned that he needs to give Londo a blood transfusion to save his life, but they don't exactly have a bunch of Centauri blood on hand. There's no Centauri blood bank. And so his wife shows up and she goes, there's actually something I haven't told you. I share a blood type as him. And he goes, well, why didn't you tell me sooner? She goes, I was trying to decide what I was going to do about it. And she's saying, I'll give him the transfusion on one condition. He never knows I did this. I don't think either one of us could withstand the awkwardness if he knew I did something nice for him like this.
Yes, Omni. Lou Welsh. Way more influential than Kiefer.
Yeah,
Keffer?
we haven't seen
Keffer
Kiefer
Kiefer.
recently.
I think there's a reason for that.
And so Lou is explained that there's just something about this Matthew guy that makes you want to like him, and Garibaldi's understandably skeptical about such a belief. Dr. Franklin says, Londo, do you know where you are? And he goes, I'm either in the med lab or I'm in hell. And Londo is pointing out how odd it is that uh, the other two wives had some insincere words of to give him, but what, nothing from you? And I don't know what it was about that scene right there, but the youngest wife looked a lot more tan than she did earlier. I think it may have just been that she was standing next to one of the other wives who was a lot more pale than she was. Londa was talking about, how horrible his wives were. And and Franklin says, "Can I give you a piece of personal advice? Stick it." He walks off, and Lana goes, "How odd! You would think we were married." So it's interesting, the plot line of her potentially losing her Betazoidian powers is very reminiscent of what we got in X-Men 2. I think it was 2. Was it 2 or 3? The one where uh, they came up with a cure for the mutant gene.
Uh, I don't remember.
I remember it ended with Kitty Pryde taking the cure. Or no, Rogue. Rogue took the cure.
Oh,
I
come
want to
on,
say,
Lou.
I want to say it was 2. But he was saying that he'd really hoped. There's a good
Oh,
punch.
there it is.
Okay, so he, Matthew was saying he wanted Talia to come of her own accord. That he thought that if he offered her the cure, she'd choose to be with him because he wanted to do it right this time. And she went with him, and Lou was gonna get things ready, and they leave the room, and Garibaldi comes with a solid right hook and knocks him out, and you can see Lou and Talia kind of come out of a daze. He goes, I love being right. And there's Marianne going after the most powerful man, or a powerful man.
I
Jakar warns her not to be too overconfident. He goes, "If I was married to Londo, I'd be concerned." And she goes, "Jakar, if you were married to Londo, we'd all be very concerned."
So I want to know how they know each other. And it appears that they were maybe getting it on.
And it's interesting that he has a cut on the right side of his face after getting hit on the left. Maybe he bit his cheek.
Possibly.
And Sheridan is saying that uh, he thinks that the medicine they gave him didn't get rid of his telepathic abilities. It turned him into something new, an empath. Hey, Bradley. Okay, so X-Men: The Last Stand was a movie uh, with the losing their powers. Okay, yeah, because it ended with Magneto getting the like 6 doses of the stuff, and they're thinking that the Corps sent Matthew to get Talia so they could create more empaths. So so telepaths, if I'm understanding the way they're defining things, telepaths can read other people's minds. Empaths seem to be able to put thoughts or feelings into other people's minds.
At least influence them.
And Matthew is claiming that he wasn't lying on one point. He does know the cure, and he offers to let her read his mind, look into my mind. No shields, no tricks. And so she leaves, which I personally I think that was probably a trick. And I wonder what would have happened if she had read his mind. So it does seem that he has divorced 2 of his wives, but he's been generous and given them stipend. And like I predicted, he chose the one with the accent. And she explains, "I'll never love you. I'll never be what you want me to be. Why did you choose me?" And he says, "Because with you, I'll always know where I stand." And apparently that was a peak poetry to her. And Robert's just saying that empathy can feel your feelings. Yeah, so I know that's the real definition of an empath. But the way they seem to be treating the word empath, at least in this episode, is that he is able to project goodwill for himself. I don't think it was just like he was able to feel their feelings and manipulate it based on how he knew they were feeling. Like it seemed like it was a real clear.
Oh dear.
What did she say there at the end?
She's having odd cramps.
Oh, I was wondering how far they were going to go with this um, human
Transformation?
transformation. Yeah, because at the very beginning of the episode, the way she was responding and the disheveled hair, um, I'm like, are they going to have this be a pre cramp joke? kind of happening right now? And I think they may have been.
Yeah, it seems like it.
In Texas, I missed it, but I thankfully Jeff helped me hear it.
23rd century curling irons. Yes.
And Trevor Lauren, I do agree too. I think he made the right choice, and not just a politically advantageous one. Like he did seem like she at least seemed to be genuine. The other two were very just, oh, we're
Bingo.
flattery and we'll go along with whatever you want because we want to have the position of authority and, or maybe not position of authority, but like the lifestyle that comes with being married to you. Where she's just like, no, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna tell you what I think.
Thomas.
Is that the medical terminology for all that?
Uh, that's what Dr. McCoy said Jillian had in Star Trek 4 when they were going in to rescue Chekhov from the hospital.
Oh, okay. Well, what did you think of this episode, Jeff?
This was a lot of fun. It was very comedic. And Peter David is known for comedic writing. So it shone through in this episode. I think the most interesting part is Jakar with the one wife, and what was her name? Marianne. Yeah, Muriel.
Mariel.
How did they know each other? And was Jakar in on all this? Was it his plot to try to kill Malari? Does he know what Malari's up to, or has an idea of what Malari's up to? They knew each other, and they were talking at the end. Well, yeah, they did. I mean, why was she in his quarters, his room?
So, I mean, I'll have to rewatch it again so I can really pay close attention to all the lines instead of just the ones that catch me at the moment. But I got the feeling that this was playing off the dialogue she had earlier, or the dialogue that Londo had earlier, where she is attracted to powerful men. Excuse me, I'm sorry. But she ends up burning them.
Yeah, so Londo did say that.
So I thought this was just her trying, like, this was like maybe her hedging her bets against Londo. And Jakar was smart enough to see through the facade she was putting up. And like, no, we're not doing this. And I would, you're treating your husband as if he was an idiot. If I was married to him, I'd be more cautious.
Well, at the beginning of the celebration, when Jakar comes in, he tosses her a grape. I don't know if you caught that.
I did not. Okay.
So it just makes you wonder. But on the other hand, during their discussion, he says that mysteries give me a pain. He describes the situation between Mariel and Londo as a mystery to solve, indicating that he might not be involved because he's trying to solve the mystery of it all. So you could think of it either way, but I'm just wondering what Jakar's really up to here.
Joel saying that Jakar knows all the women. Yeah, he was definitely dressed in the most like Bond end of movie attire I've seen so far. Every Bond movie ends with him in like a silken robe sort of thing.
Well, we've seen him wear it before.
True.
When he had the women in his quarters.
That was when his aide was like, Jakar's not available. You'll have to come back later. Yes. And then she's like,
yes.
It appears that he has become available. Right this way, please.
Right. The telepath stuff, it kind of bored me a bit. I like the other part of the story more, and I also like the Dolores segment that we got with the hair. I thought that was funny. Plot. Yeah, the C plot, if you will. So overall, this was good. As we mentioned earlier, Timoff spelled backwards spells vomit,
Hmm.
and Londo has called his three wives pestilence, famine, and death. Dagar is pestilence, Timoff is famine, and Muriel is death. Is
Hmm.
Londo then war?
Ah, the Four Horsemen. Okay. Huh. Well, he's certainly headed that way this season with
Well,
his
it seems like
dealings.
it. And what are they setting up with Dolores and the cramps statement at the end? It's another big revelation that kind of plays as a joke, but are they setting something up?
It definitely feels like with the Dolores joke at the end. It. I mean, she did explain at the very beginning, like she doesn't understand about washing her hair. Uh, she she said that the Mbari while they sleep, like they secrete something that cleanses them or rejuvenates them or something.
Yeah,
Uh,
Ivanova just kind of told her to
yeah.
stop at that point. She didn't want to hear it.
So it seems as if there are some aspects of her Mbari physiology that are still doing what they're supposed to do.
That's
But
true.
I felt like the whole point of the C plot, beyond, it being a little bit funny here and there, was to demonstrate how she is a synthesis of both races now. And the fact that this is actually such a a well done synthesis. Like so far, she hasn't seemed to be experiencing medical issues. Like you can imagine if you had two random alien species and you just haphazardly combined 50 and 50, then you'd have episodes where like, well, because you did this, now you're facing this medical issue because this organ isn't getting what it needs, or
Right.
you're not producing this amino acid anymore, something like that. And it would be this really interesting thing where they have to go to this planet in like a, a disputed territory, or you'd have the whole plot revolve around that. Whereas what we're seeing is that this is a true melding of the two species, which I think kind of is playing into this idea that they are soul cousins, that the Ambari souls were traveling to humans perhaps because of their extreme compatibility, or because there is some greater link between these two species that hasn't been discussed yet.
Oh, that's interesting thought. Very good.
Um,
I like how you're thinking.
yeah, yeah, and I feel like the PMS joke at the end was just a quick one-liner, like, "Hey guys, it's not just that she has to wash herself now. Like, we're letting you know in a somewhat humorous fashion that this goes beyond mere uh, service level features." So yeah, I think this is a fun episode. I I really enjoyed obviously Londo's plotline. Letting Londo be funny is something I'm really glad they did in this episode.
And Peter Jurisic really does comedy well.
Yeah, yeah. Because with Londo, this season so far, he has been the antagonist, and
Hmm.
you've been seeing him travel further and further down this road where he's allying himself and his people with the shadow spiders, and you have Jakar being the beacon of light and reason, saying, guys, there's a stuff going on, we need to be taking steps to defend ourselves. Look at all these holy texts I have that talk about these demons. We're seeing the pictures of these demons, they match up with what we're seeing in real life now. And so to have an episode where it's like, hey, yes, Londo is moving this way, but he's still Londo. Uh, he's still the same funny guy that we got to enjoy in the first season. So I
Yeah,
greatly
I
enjoyed
agree.
that plot line. I enjoyed the fact that he did choose the wife that's been acerbic toward him, uh, just because she's been honest, and he definitely recognized that honesty is to be valued over uh, beauty or just saying whatever he wants to hear. which is really what the other two kind of represented. The plot line with Talia, like you said, it was the weaker of the two plot lines.
I agree.
I feel like they were definitely. I feel like it was the more important one, obviously. The fact that you have the Psi Corps and they're doing more and more stuff in the background. Uh, First, you find out that this is a long running thing. It's not just that they started doing this. This has been going on for a long time, and the fact that they tried to pair Talia up with this Matthews guy shows how long they've been trying to produce these super betazoids, and so
Sorry, that's just funny.
that's an extremely important plot point. And the problem is, I think they wanted to do more with this plot line, but they didn't know how to keep it fresh. And so I feel like every scene we got with Matthew really just kind of doubled down on what we already knew about him. And so I feel like if we had I'm not sure how they would have pulled it off, but if they'd taken more time to either drip feed this to us, where you saw that one interaction at the very beginning where the guy walks away and you're like, that's weird. And then maybe throughout the episode, you saw Talia go from a very antagonistic position against him to a friendly position, and Garibaldi's in the background, like, hey, this isn't adding up throughout the entire thing until he sees Lou and he just decks the guy. I think maybe that would have kept it more fresh instead of just every single scene was Keith Keith Sar absolutely chewing up his lines. And I'll give this to Keith. He did a fantastic job. Uh, he knew how to get that kind of gravel in his voice as he whispered. And like just nailed it. Just nailed it. You're like, yes, this guy's a creep, and it really paid off. You were so happy when Garibaldi finally punched the guy. Uh, but because they didn't keep it fresh, and they've had this issue a couple times. I forget one of the other ones. It may have been TKO, but that might just be on my mind because it's mentioned so much in the chat. Uh,
Thanks, Omni.
and Thomas. I don't think it was TKO. There was some other plot line where they clearly needed to develop it more, and they didn't. And I think that this plot line, because of how important it was, they should have found some way to maybe make it more fresh. Maybe with Lurch, here's something. Maybe with Lurch, he was initially trying to get a really good deal, and all of a sudden, he's like, you know what? No, I will give you full price. Not just full price. Here, have like, 20 credits above the asking price, something like that. Just a little drip feed of weirdness going on.
That might have worked better. You should have written the episode.
See, I say this Amy says this too. She's like, Matt, you should have written things like this. I'm like, I cannot write a movie. I cannot write a TV show. I cannot write a book. But I have a very analytical mind, so I can see what other people have written and been like, oh, you know what? If you tweak it in this way, then I bet it'll come off a little more polished, and then they can go and do all their magic. So it's a lot easier to critique something than to create something. I fully recognize that. Stop being an empath.
I thought he was Zathras, Josh.
I don't think I've ever been accused of being an empath, Josh.
People have called me empathic.
I can see that.
But I'm no Matthew Stoner.
I've been called tone deaf several times. On an emotional sense, not singing wise.
Okay. I thought that's how you meant it.
I realized it after I said it, and I'm like, no, that's not what I meant. Okay, so next week on what I'm sure is December the 14th, we are going to be watching A Race Through Dark Places, which, ooh, that's a,
That's an interesting title, isn't it? Will we
it
be here for it?
is. Will we be here for it? That is a great question.
You
Unknown.
said your schedule is getting a little bit iffy now.
It is. It is. I may be here. I may not be here. There's some general questions about that very issue. Hopefully, I get some more information this week about what my work schedule coming up here is going to be. We'll see. If we are, I look forward to seeing y'all again. I'll try and around 9 to 10 o'clock
AM, AM
a.m.
Central.
get the stream scheduled. So if you don't see it by then, probably not going to happen. But whenever we do it, A Race Through Dark Places. If this was Voyager, this would absolutely be a Tom Paris centric episode where they are having to race through, say, some subspace layer or a subspace vacuole sort of thing. It's not Voyager, however.
I could see that.
So, A Race Through Dark Places. It would be fun if this was something about like one of the characters ended up in the downtown area without the communicator. Like they found out some piece of information about like a assassination plot or a bomb somewhere, and for some reason they cannot get to any communication point, and so they're having to race through the underbelly of Babylon 5 to work this out. That would be fun. I get the feeling more that this is going to look at the hyperspace stuff. Yeah. I can see Kiefer coming back for this episode. But why are they having to race? That becomes a question. Why are you racing through hyperspace? Or whatever they call the jump gate area. Was it hyperspace?
Hyperspace.
Okay. Communication seems to be near instantaneous, so you wouldn't be trying to beat a message. We've seen them being able to communicate to ships in hyperspace. So it's not like they need to run through hyperspace to like, hey, if we beat this person to the destination, we'll be able to save their lives. Like that doesn't make sense because we know they can communicate in hyperspace. We also know that if they lose the ability to communicate in hyperspace, they become stuck in it. Yeah,
If they get off the beacon. If they get off the beacon.
Of course, with the beacon gone, they were still able to communicate. They're going to try and get DoorDash. So here's what I'll go with. I'm going to say that a ship goes into hyperspace and they have, unbeknownst to them, a bomb on board. Once they jump to hyperspace, let's say a program activates taking down their communication array. And so we find out about this bomb that will explode as soon as they get to the jump gate at their destination. Since their communication is down, Babylon 5 has to send out a team of their Strike Furies to somehow intercept the ship prior to their exiting hyperspace. And so they're having to, if they're having to race through it, I guess maybe they're having to try and find shortcuts through hyperspace. Technically possible, but maybe a little dangerous, let's say. And I think that's going to be what our episode is about. Worst prediction ever? I don't know. Did you hear my prediction for this week?
I like your prediction for this week.
Joel is saying, spoiler, Ivanova forgets to pay the electric bill. The whole station goes dark. That's what it's about. Memphis Sky wants to know, isn't the next episode The Coming of Shadows? Do I have them in the wrong order?
No, there is some question on the correct order for this episode and next week's episode. Some listings have them switched. Now, air order was the way we're seeing it. With,
Okay.
Race Through Dark Places coming next week.
All right.
If you go on to TiVo, not TiVo, Tubi TV, they actually have them switched.
Huh. Okay. Well, barring a compelling reason to switch them, we're gonna stick with A Race Through Dark Places, and it needs to be compelling because I've already used up all my brain power making one prediction. I don't think I could figure out what the Coming of Shadows mean. That could be anything. Coming of Shadows. I've never even heard of a shadow before in this series.
I haven't either. No. Actually, the two that were switched on some lists are the one we watched tonight and next week's.
Oh,
so next week's would have come before this one we watched tonight. That might be where the confusion is.
Okay. Yeah, my switching of names is quite enough. Exactly. The compelling reason is that Coming of Shadows is the name of the entire season. Oh, is it?
Yeah, as we have discovered already, that there is one episode where its title matches the season's title for each season.
Is that for each season?
Each season, yeah. We had one last season, Signs and Portents. That was the title of the episode and the season overall.
Okay. And I see they are putting them near the mid-season so far. Okay.
So far, yep.
I mean, a sample size of 2, not exactly my best sample size, but it's, what is it? Once is chance, twice is a coincidence. So we're at least at coincidence level of pattern level here. Now, Ami, I have heard great things about the Wheel of Fire book series, but not so much the TV show. Is that what you're talking about? Or no, I'm thinking about the Wheel of Time. The Wheel of Time.
Wheel of Time. Yeah.
Completely different. Well, just final thoughts.
Fun episode. Love Londo in this episode. I think it's intriguing what Jakar's up to or not up to. We don't know. Possible for something to look forward to in the future. Nice C plot with Dolores. Good episode overall. And yeah, Omni says Wheel of Fire is an upcoming season name as well as episode name.
Oh, okay. Very good. And yeah, Trevor Lauren is confirming what I said. Read the Wheel of Time books, but avoid the TV show like the plague. I think that's going to be the next series I listen to on audiobook too, the Wheel of Time.
Nice.
I have heard fairly good things about that. So guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. I'm glad we were able to do it this week. Hopefully I'm around to do it next week.
Fingers crossed.
Stay
safe, everyone in Florida.
Yeah. John, let us know if you have to hightail it out of there, and stay safe as long as you can bunker down, man. And we'll see you next week at the Hour of Scampering.
Take care, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to hit that like button and share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you will. And be sure to hit that bell icon to be notified of all the updates I do on this channel. If you want to support the work I'm doing here, then I hope you'll consider becoming one of my Patreons, where you'll get early access to all kinds of videos. And until the next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.